My focus in life is really to save elephants, and that's what, why I even do these other things. Burning Man is to bring awareness about the elephant programs. Since that film, we've probably saved 400 to 500 elephants' lives.
When you started, Burning Man wasn't as it is now. Now Burning Man is like just a hippie thing everybody wants to go. Right. But 24 years ago, that was like a very niche thing. How did you find about it?
Yeah, there were like 15,000 people back then. Our camp's a whole acre, huge area, right on Esplanade, prime location. And we worked our way up to it from further away, and Burning Man loves us.
There was a time when elephant charged at you. How did that feel?
Yeah. Oh my God.
How did that happen?
I know. It changed my life probably.
What are some of the things that people don't know about elephants, or maybe know but they're not true? Hey guys, welcome to Soul to Soul. We have a true legend here. The man who is passionate about two things, elephants and Burning Man, which is a combination of you can't make it up, but I love it. Right. Philip Price, welcome.
Well, thanks, man. My focus in life is really to save elephants, and so that's what, why I even do these other things. Burning Man is to bring awareness about the elephant programs we have, and not just programs we have, but to bring compassion and care about elephants. So that's why the Burning Man camp that I run even exists, is to bring people, really chill people, and to care about elephants and present this joy and compassion about elephants.
Yeah.
The Saving Ganesh is my organization, and that came out of I was doing these boutique tours all around the world. I had a little company called Geo Wandering Tours, and so I bring people on tours to whatever parts of the country, including doing rafting trips down the Grand Canyon. I'd guide 25-day trips down the Grand.
You also create crazy events. You're the man of so many talents.
A lot of adventures. You know? So, but I found all my profits from all the different things I was doing was going into elephants.
Why elephants?
Why?
Yeah. I
don't know. My mom always said she had to pull me away from seeing the elephant exhibits at the zoos and stuff.
Oh, really?
I didn't know there was going to be a big future for me in that way. But I did this film project. I was called by a good friend who I met on the Grand Canyon. I guided 3 trips down the Grand Canyon for this film crew to do this really great film called Colorado River, A Stolen Treasure. And it was supposed to be like an adventure film. This is 25 to 30 years ago now. This Swedish filmmaker wanted to come to the Grand and do this film. And so he contacted this guy that owns a big rafting company out of Moab, Utah. And he asked, do you know anybody that's a geologist and an expert boatman? Because I'm a professional geologist by education.
You're everything.
Right. Yeah, thanks.
What haven't you done?
Yeah, no doubt. It's just, I've had a lot of chapters in my life.
Yeah,
I love it because it's my personal evolution. And they all kind of tie together. You know? And which it makes it so thrilling. I never know what I'm going to do next,
Yeah.
No, actually I do. but this filmmaker, so I guided them down the Grand Canyon, 25-day trips, right? 16 people. It takes a lot of organizing to be self-contained for down the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Explaining the geology, the history, the archaeology, all these things of the Grand Canyon. I loved it, right? And I was able to convince them to make it not about adventure, just the thrills of rafting, but about conservation, really making focus on conservation issues, because that's what I was. I'd been a conservationist for, by then, already 2 decades by that time. So anyway, I kind of bent his ear, and we made it a very timely film about saving, preserving the water and the environment of the Grand Canyon. And so it was great because he wasn't necessarily a rabid, if you say, like a environmentalist at the time, but he became that because maybe I convinced him that we need to save the Grand Canyon. And I've been on the Grand Canyon Trust. I've been doing work as a volunteer and a conservationist on the Grand Canyon, trying to save the Colorado River before it became a big issue like it has in the last decade. So I was an expert on that already. And I bent his ear, so he became like this conservationist. And the film was wonderful, right? It raised awareness about the water quality and quantity of the Colorado, which Los Angeles depends on that river. I mean, it wouldn't exist without the Colorado River. So we were some of the first to really bring up the issue. Okay, so we were done with that film, right? And we said, Philip, I'm doing some films in Sri Lanka and India, and we're good friends by now, And what are you doing there? He said, well, we're going to do a film about the elephants And it ended up being called Elephants of Paradise. We did one about the untouchable people of Sri Lanka, of India.
Yeah.
We did one about the sea turtles in Sri Lanka and in Asia. Did another about the snake charmers, which is a really fascinating film in Sri Lanka. But anyway, the film about Elephants of Paradise, was phenomenal. I was able to hang out with elephants and learned all about them, became an expert on it through working with the wildlife director of the country and doing this film, Elephants of Paradise. And since that film, another conservation film, basically, we've probably saved 400 to 500 elephants' lives because since then, Sri Lanka changed how they manage elephants, wild elephants in the country. So to this day, 25 years later, I can tabulate how many elephants likely were saved because of our one film. And then after that, then social media came out because that was back, early days. That was 25 years ago. And now, I have a 250,000 followers on my social media, all about elephants, so we're influencers now.
Yeah.
So
You're a big one.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So for people like myself who don't know much about elephants, I had a story about elephant when I was in Thailand when I was 7. I saw a little elephant. They're hairy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm asking my
That's
mom.
a woolly mammoth, by the way. Woolly mammoth are the hairy ones.
Okay. So I asked my mom, can I take it? And she said yes, which is a worst parenting thing you can do. Yeah. And then I would cry for days saying where's my elephant? So I have a connection to elephants too. But for somebody like me who know nothing about elephants in particular, what are some of the things or misconceptions that people don't know about elephants, I guess, or maybe know, but they're not true?
Right. I think the biggest thing is African elephants. There's 300,000 of them and left in the wild now, compared to Asian elephants, which is only 30,000 left. Wow. So right away, it's which ones are more endangered? And all the attention goes to African elephants because they're poached. They were poached, especially before China came out with a new moratorium.
For the tusks?
For the tusks, for the ivory.
What do they do with them?
They make art, arts and crafts out of them. They used to use them for keys for piano as an example too.
Really?
Yeah. So in the old days.
Okay.
So they're being poached. 100%. All the elephants in Africa have tusks, right? And then in Asia, like in India, all the males have tusks only, not the females. But in Sri Lanka, only 5% of the males even have tusks. It's kind of interesting.
Wow.
So they're all Asian elephants, but for some reason in Sri Lanka, I think because there was the killing off of the male elephants in the old days for ceremonial reasons, thousands of years ago. So evolution kind of rid most of the elephants of tusks because evolutionary wise, you don't want to be killed for whatever you're going to evolve.
Yeah.
And so. Now there's not much poaching in Sri Lanka at all compared to Africa or even India. So that's not the issue. In Sri Lanka, there's only 5,000 elephants left. So there's 30,000 of all of Asia, but only 5,000 left in Sri Lanka.
Crazy. And
the numbers are going down all the time. There's a human-elephant conflict. 500 elephants now are being killed every year.
Because they invade the farming, or why?
The crop raid, the habitat's been being destroyed, stolen. Elephant corridors that link together different parks are broken now, especially even since COVID. There's been several of these corridors that are broken, so elephants can't migrate to the dry season to get good forage and water. They're trapped in certain regions of Sri Lanka now. And they're the emaciated. They're dying of starvation. The babies, half the babies in Udawalawe National Park in the south, as an example, half of them die within the first year because there's no lactating of the mothers. So we're battling to try to reopen those corridors. And so I'm vying to raise the money. It's about $5 million, I think, to reestablish 2 corridors to save all those elephants. And I'll jump ahead and say that's part of why I do outreach at Burning Man. And I do co-production of several yoga festivals in America, and as well. And we sell T-shirts. We grab people to come with us on these tours to Asia to donate and see what's going on, to try to reestablish these corridors. But it's difficult to raise $5 million. And we're always hoping at Burning Man that Elon Musk or somebody will come around and say, "Hey, man, I love elephants too."
Yeah.
Here you go.
The Burning Man camp is called "I Love Elephants." So. Right. If you are the one who have $5 million and want to go hang out with amazing people, go there. I'm probably going to be there too. We'll see.
Right.
So one thing that the Bali, I guess, I'm going to give them bad rap maybe, but whatever. Mm-hmm. So Bali, Ubud, they have this elephant kind of sanctuary, and what you do there, you ride elephants around. I don't know if that's good or not. So I was thinking about it. It doesn't look like it's good. They are giving all the stories how it's all cool and we're so nice. What do you think about it? I'm not going to give any of my opinions, but you're an expert, so tell me.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of greenwashing going on around there. One of the things we did 10 years ago, as being influencers, we put out, actually, we were the first ones really to promote on a large scale, don't ride elephants. Don't ride elephants. So now if you go to Thailand, most of the brochures you'll see, the brochure racks and things will say, we don't ride elephants. We don't ride elephants. There'll be 100 brochures, and they used to say, ride an elephant, ride an elephant. Now in the last few years, you'll see, we don't ride elephants. We don't ride elephants. So the whole world's gotten the message now. And you don't ride elephants because, for one, the rib cage for the elephants goes up. It's not like a horse where the ribs come downward or smooth on top, where a saddle would go. Elephants, it goes up. So there's ribs going down as well as up, and so those when a saddle will rub raw these areas, and they get abscesses both under the skin and above the skin. The elephants are not designed to be ridden.
Okay.
And so, and then also they're abused in captivity. People don't see what's done behind the scenes. The elephants are chained at night. You look at their legs, and they have sores on their ankles. They're abused. They're under the control always of a tourist mahout. Yeah. Some mahouts are great. In parts of Asia, they are compassionate for the elephant, and so. But elephants in the tourist industry usually are really poor performers. They have it's about greed and getting more money from the tourists. So we don't ride elephants, and that's what the local here in Bali have had a bit of a run-in on social media with some of these organizations, these companies that profit from tourism. And we have on our website, we have several pages on how to run an ethical tourist facility. Yeah. And they don't run it here. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, it's hard to achieve the 9. At 9 on a scale of 1 to 10, the best you can get, like there's Elephant Nature Park in Chiang Mai that's wonderful, right? They're not even a 10 because the elephants there are kind of trapped in a too small area. Yeah. You want to have semi-wild conditions for elephant, and then you go collect the elephants in the morning, whatever. Bring them in, guide them in, give them some grain, and let them be elephants. And you just stand back and watch the elephants be elephants and interact with one another. And I assure you that tourists, especially Western tourists, that get it. Compassionate people will look at this and say, this is so cool to see elephants be elephants, not to interfere with what they are in their spirit, in their soul. The elephant is a sentient entity. So, you want to watch them interact with their babies and with the aunties and the uncles and all. You want to watch that. It's wonderful. Yeah. All you do is stand back and watch. So the most profitable tourist facilities in the world are the ones that do that. They're ethical sanctuaries, but the ones that are here in Bali don't get it. They think they have to make it by manipulating, controlling the elephant, letting you hop on its back and go for these rides in the hot summer sun, which the elephants in the wild don't do that. In the wild, elephants will hide out in the shade areas, and they don't go into the water even at daytime because the reflection from the water will partially blind them. There's many tourist elephants that are blind because of that, because they let the tourists go and watch the elephants in the water, and the tourists think that's wonderful. The elephants don't do that in the daytime. They're very protective of it and cautious when they're in the open, especially in the sunshine. So all the things that the tourist industry is doing here in Bali, they're rated maybe a 5 out of 10. They have a few things right, but not most. Yeah.
The facility I went to, and I was completely ignorant to that. So now, good that we're having this conversation. I'm not going to do it again. But they all show you how they save those elephants, and it's so special. And then there's one track, and one after another, those elephants just walk on a track. And I'm like, this doesn't look like those elephants are having any fun. And then they go into a mud pit where you can go with them and swim with those elephants. Right. And I'm like, I don't know if elephants are enjoying it. It's like a zoo. I don't know if I don't know if animals in zoo are enjoying it, but at least they're left alone, I guess. So
Yeah.
some of the elephants cannot be in a wild, right? If you are born in captivity and you put them in a jungle, I don't know how they will adapt.
It's a good question, but they do.
They do.
Yeah, we fostered some some orphans in Sri Lanka, as an example. When they reach 5 years of age, they're released to the wild, and they release them in little groups of like between 7 and 10,
Yeah.
and little herds, they're self-contained herds. And when they're at the orphanage to begin with, they're allowed to be kind of wild. They don't have contact with the tourists. The tourists stand back and watch them, and the mahouts and the rangers there in Sri Lanka. This one is Udawalawe National Park, the orphanage. They're not spoiled by the human touch. The humans are not feeding them pumpkin, as an example, or bananas, because that'll poison basically the future for the elephant, because they'll always search out humans to try to get more pumpkins.
Yeah.
So the best way to raise orphaned elephants, to then release them ultimately, is to have no interference, none of this candy being fed to them by humans. Yeah. So the rangers, feed them with in a certain schedule and very carefully, and so at 5 to 6 years of age, the orphan groups will be released in the wild, and they thrive. They do great. Yeah. So it's possible if you do that right. Again, the orphanages, some of the orphanages don't do it right. Like I saw, there's one in Myanmar in Burma that we were involved there. We're all over Asia. My organization will spend a lot of time doing studies in these areas to see how they're handling orphans, as an example. Yeah. And there's a place where you go and they have 30 orphans, and they have all these kids, all these humans go in this area, and they release the elephants, the babies, and they tackle the kids and adults alike, and it's great fun for the humans, but these elephants will never go back to the wild.
Yes. That's what happened in this place as well. You feed them, they give you like banana, and you feed the elephant a banana.
You got it.
Okay.
So it's wrong how they do it here. I won't name the parks, but don't support those, is what I say. They've asked us to do presentations there. They've asked some of my colleagues even here, and I told my colleagues, if you want to do it, but read the articles that I've written, and we have like 150 video blogs on my YouTube channel. Yeah. About all the different issues. A lot of articles I've written, and gotten out published out there. Read what I've done on the subject, and then let me know if you want to go and present. Yeah. And they say, Philip, I'm not a 10-foot pole would I go there and present on behalf of these organizations, these companies. Yeah. So that's very telling. So we demand actually that they change how they manage elephants in Bali. Yeah. And I kind of made a promise to some people that in the next couple of years they're going to change. We're trying to put pressure on them in all different ways, and they'll see that they make more money down the road.
So how can people put more pressure on them apart from going to those parks? Like for somebody who is not Philip, who is saving elephants as a job, like for myself, I mean, my job right now is to spread the message, but in general, for people out there, how can they support this? Yeah. In which ways?
A couple of them will advertise for people to come to facilities, and they advertise blatantly that you can ride elephants at these places, and they do it every week cycle. They push it, they boost it in social media to get more attention, to get more customers. And I see that there's a couple, 3 people that'll post comments, say, "Don't do that. What are you doing? You don't want to ride elephants for these reasons." So the more people that do that, every time they see an ad pop up, or they can go to these parks and then talk to them and say, hey man, I would come here, but I told my friends, and I've heard how bad it is how you operate here, and you need to change. But put it in their face. But anyway, doing comments on social media really goes a long way. Yeah. If instead of 2 people every time they advertise, every 2 weeks, it's like a cycle they advertise, if there are 20 comments back at them saying this is really bad, and then they put that out there in their own social media feed, then it can go viral, and maybe it'll change, the outlook for the elephants.
Okay, cool. What are some other dangers of the elephants, I guess, in the wild that you're dealing with, apart from humans, poachers?
I'll be going in 1 week or so to Sri Lanka to work on some projects. And what we do, as an example, we see where the conflicts are and what's happening to the elephants. So we're always invited, ever since actually 25 years ago when we did the Elephants of Paradise film. we're favored by the rangers and veterinarians in the country. There's 7 regional veterinarians in the whole country, and we go with them and see what the problems are. And so, like when we're there in about a week and a half, I run these conservation tours. People can check out, and they can come on one of these tours, and learn more and become advocate for elephants. They're welcome to. That's a lot of what we do. Okay, we'll go with the rangers and the veterinarians and medicate sick elephants. And it's really a sad thing, but there's the liver, they call it liver fluke now in the freshwater bodies, and they're spreading all throughout Sri Lanka and also India. The liver fluke will get into the intestines of the elephants and cause horrible sickness.
Oh, wow.
So and it's taking off, and a lot of it has to do with domestic cattle sharing national park water bodies, which is illegal in Sri Lanka. But for profit farmers, ranchers, farmers will bring their domestic cattle in, and they mix with the elephants and then bring the liver fluke into these water bodies. It's an invasive species, and elephants then get sick from that. So we go with the rangers and we see how bad that situation is, but we'll go and track these sick elephants, and then they dart medication with antibiotics and things. So it's really thrilling because we get to be right with them in the field, and actually chase after the elephants in the wild and be a part of that. Sometimes, so that's a big thing. So too many elephants are dying. Semi-natural condition of death, but not because the liver fluke was brought by the domestic cattle.
Yeah.
And then in a lot of these areas, there's invasive species that have been brought in. And you can't really, it's hard to attack these species. Different plants. There's 5 different invasive species overtaking a lot of the national parks, and the elephants can't eat that stuff. Okay. So 30 to 40% of national parks now doesn't have forage to support the elephants. So the elephants are getting emaciated and, really skinny. If you look at them in the South, especially, it's like, oh my God. So there's some programs that can be funded as well, that some of my friends that run local environmental organizations have, especially during COVID, they actually hired locals at a low price to go and pull the invasive species and that invasive plants. So that was very helpful, and we need more of that. But that's, so not only is the habitat shrinking naturally by encroachment of farmers in these areas, but also the invasive species are taking over what's remaining. Yeah. So the elephants are now going out and crop raiding local farms, the paddy fields. And so the farmers have to scare them away, and they'll shoot at them, they'll poison them, they'll electrocute them. So that's how 400 elephants probably die every year now because of the farmers going after them.
Do they eat them afterwards?
Huh?
Do they eat them afterwards? What do they do with the...
No. The elephants, when they die?
Yeah.
No. The wildlife department has to come in there and with a big bulldozer and bury it right in place. Wow. So, it's
is that legal there?
Oh yeah. Buddhism and Hinduism both. They hold that's why my organization is Saving Ganesh for a reason. It's savingganesh.org because it's spiritual. It's one of the highest, the greatest deities. Ganesh, and they're held sacred in these places. We need to remember. They need to remember how sacred it is. To kill an elephant brings the worst karma in the world upon a person. Yeah. And in fact, we before COVID times, we had a big program. It was really cool. We did this humanitarian project. I brought an human osteopath, to Sri Lanka, and did healthcare services in these areas, remote areas, almost like tribal areas of Sri Lanka, that are challenged by living with elephants. So about a quarter maybe of Sri Lanka, the people are living with elephants in the wild, and there's crop raiding going on and all these things, and the locals, the farmers, have become accustomed to killing the elephants. Yeah. And so we combined with these venerable monks and nuns and did this program called Karmic Reset. In Buddhism, there's this idea that you can actually rid past karma. And so at this 2,000-year-old temple that we've been a part of for years, we created a big event, and hundreds of people came. And this allowed people that, all the farmers and all the people of the villages to come and do a 6-hour reading by these 6 venerable monks and nuns. It took them 6 hours of reading in the circle. It was really a beautiful event that we created for 2 days. The people would be rid of the bad karma having to do with the elephant for harming elephants.
So they know it's a bad karma, and they are Buddhists.
You're right.
And they still go and kill elephants.
They've become accustomed to it. So after the ceremony, as example, the idea that we had was they can start fresh.
Yeah.
They can say, okay, I've done bad, I've done harm to the elephants in the past, but going forward, I have a clean slate.
Yeah.
I can start over and maybe I won't harm them again. Right. So that was our very unique concept.
Are they uneducated about the issue? What's driving them apart from? Because there's ways how to deal with it without killing an elephant, I assume. But is there a lack of education, or they don't care? What is it?
It's survival. I have great compassion for the locals, especially lately when the economy collapsed in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
They had no diesel in the whole country for like a year. It's horrible. And they didn't have fertilizer to grow crops. So it's hard to blame them for doing whatever they can to protect the crops they do have.
Yeah.
But they should be, they should be shooing the elephants away. We invented this technology. It's like a scarecrow, or we call it the wind torch. We actually invented it. And we distribute it. It's something we discovered farmer in deep-most India using with great effect. And we took that idea from him in India years ago and modified it to make it work even better. And then we just have distributed that. And we'll be doing that again here in a few weeks. We distribute more of them. But it's a flashlight that you actually suspend to a few poles, and it looks like a human holding a torch, a flashlight, right? And the elephants think it's a human out there, but it takes updraft off the field. There's always a little bit of updraft wind that comes off, and it hits this little like fan thing on the bottom of our torch, and it makes it kind of move organically like a human.
Yeah.
So
and they're afraid to go.
It was like it worked amazing. We put it in a spot where, right in India, we tested it in a spot where the 3 different national parks come together in this triangle. And this farmer was trying to grow crops right there in the worst location in the world. So it was like the best test we could do at all.
Wow.
So he put it there, and it worked until he became sick for some other reason, and I had to kind of abandon it. But it was amazing test. If you put a computerized thing out there, with a rotating light, the elephants are smart. They know it's all. It's a computer. They're like, that's not a human.
Yeah.
They can. It's all pacing and the frequency of whatever of the light flash or whatever. So our organic method worked.
Wow.
So we're trying to always, and then we're going here soon in 3 weeks. We'll be up in Kerala at Amma. If you know Amma, the hugging saint.
Okay.
A lot of people will know her. And her university she founded has come up with the elephant warning system that we've been working on for 10 years, trying to come up with a system to warn railroad conductors and trains that elephants are on the track or near the track, so they'll slow down the train because so many elephants are being killed in India and Sri Lanka by train collision. Yeah. So Amma's university is amazing. They came up with this. They've tested it, pilot studies. They have optic fiber lines along both sides of the track, and it's tied to an algorithm in AI. And the AI is detecting that it's an elephant, not a leopard, not a human, not whatever. And it signals to the conductor elephant on the track. So it's a one of a kind, and it's using all the greatest technologies we have now to combine it to save elephants. Amazing. So it's really cool. So we're doing that in Kerala, and then we're going to Odisha, and we'll hopefully bring that technology. We're collaborating with them to bring it then to Sri Lanka, hopefully.
Wow. So there was a time when elephant charged at you. How did that feel?
Oh my God.
How did that happen?
I know. It changed my life probably. Yeah. I think
still
that's
love
when
them.
it really crystallized my love of elephants because it allowed me to survive. So
they can be aggressive, right?
They're all, There's no safe time to be near a wild elephant ever.
Yeah.
I've guided. I used to guide where I'd have like my friends, children, daughters, whatever, come with me on these tours because I think it would be such a great adventure for them and great experience. And early on they'll say, "I want to go and touch and pet the elephant," be on a Jeep safari. Can I get out of here? I want to go and like be with it. It's like, no, it'll kill you. It's like, they'll kill you. You love humans. Oh my God. If you have, any wild animal is dangerous, really. But elephants are a little more dangerous than the average. They're huge. They weigh as much as a train, so as well. But this one elephant, we were doing our film Elephants of Paradise, and this one elephant was a rogue elephant, meaning it had killed a few people locally.
Oh wow!
And so the rangers went to catch it, to relocate it to the far side of the island. So when this part of our film project was being a part of this whole process and documenting it, right? Really adventuresome. So you try to track down this killer elephant in the jungles, right? And so we were like hiding back from the ranger with the dart gun and then a safety rifle in case if the dart gun to sedate it doesn't sedate fast enough. There's a guy with a rifle too. Well, I found out later, actually, the rifles never had live bullets in it. They didn't work. The rifles didn't work. It was just for show. So us and others would think that we were safe, but we weren't safe.
Classic.
I know, totally. This is, oh my God. And so, it takes like 5 to 10 minutes for a dart to sedate. And back then they used to tranquilize them, not sedate them. Now they use ketamine actually and other things, other medications. So they do standing sedation. So they'll dart it, and sometimes the first dart won't work. So the ranger has to dart it, and then basically run away as the sedation happens. They have an exit strategy always. That's what I tell everybody when I'm with them or whatever. Always have an exit strategy. Yeah. If you go from point A to B, know what tree you're going to climb or hide behind. Yeah. Never go without just blind. You always have to know your exit strategy. So the rangers
just getting high, and he's like, all right, let's go eat some humans.
Oh my God, you have to climb a tree fast. The best thing you do is hunker down really low behind a tree stump or something, But these rangers will do that. So we'll be quite far away, when they're doing the back 25 years ago, they didn't mind that we were right with them when they were doing the first dart even. It's like, wow, talking about thrilling. And now in more modern era, my friend is a wildlife director. He's a good friend of mine, and he says, "Nah, it's a little too dangerous for you guys to be there until the elephant's actually fully sedated." Yeah, and actually, he's the one that innovated standing sedation. So when they used to tranquilize the elephants, the elephant would fall down for 10 to 20 minutes for the people to put ropes around it, its legs, to then bring it back to consciousness. It'd stand up, and then you could pull the elephant with the ropes into a lorry, a truck, and haul it far away. What's cool now, my wildlife director buddy, friend, innovated standing sedation. So it's like 5% of the elephants, if any animal that's tranquilized, will die. I don't care what species it is. If you tranquilize even humans, 5% of humans will die just because of the reaction to the body. So standing sedation is so safe. And it's amazing because it's pretty wild. So you get it with a dart, you run away for a while to see if it took or not, and maybe you have to do a second firing of the dart, and then by the second one, like we'll be right there with the ranger, or trying to relocate the elephant because it'll get darted and then run away, right? And so we have to track the elephant after it's run away because it's like, what's going on? It wants to get away, and it's amazing because when it's taken and they're standing and sedated, they snore. And
they just stand and snore.
Yeah.
They sleep while they're standing.
Exactly.
And probably high.
And they're like comatose. They're having a good time in their brain.
Yeah.
Just like humans, I
they're
guess.
Just flying.
Yeah. I know, they're flying. Yeah. They have ketamine.
They love humans.
So, I know, totally.
Like peace and talking to a god and seeing.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
Okay.
Ganesh, the elephant, is talking to his god.
Okay.
And so you'll actually go, you think where the elephant went off, and you'll actually listen for their snoring, so you hear it in the distance, like, I think it's over there, I hear a snoring animal over there. So you'll go in there, they're snoring, it's like, okay, quickly rope it up, and then when it comes back to, then you pull it into a lorry to transport it to a safer distant place, which is it doesn't really work. They still return to their home area, and so translocations doesn't really work, but Okay, but as far as the being chased by an elephant, this is back in the days we were filming and we had no choice. The elephant was tranquilized. We had to bring it back to consciousness. Roped all 4 legs, tied it to different shrubs around the area. There are no good trees around the vicinity, right? Just shrubs. And so the rangers have these ropes that are the size of my thigh, right? They tie it up to 4 different locations to make it safe so they can't break free. And then so we're there, film crew, filming and all, and okay, so this is a little bold, or little, I'm gonna have to say it as it is. The elephant was standing there, and they're very prideful, these animals, right? It's a big bull elephant, right? And all these local villagers come up, and they're all like watching, they're amazed by it, like hundreds of them. And we're there with the film crew filming all the activity, and the elephant is tied up, and it lets loose with a big fart. Fart, and all the local villagers started laughing at it, right? Like, and the elephant like took notice and turned, and it felt like his pride was hurt or something, right? And it charged, right? It charged for all the hundreds of people, including us, the film crew, and I was one of the nearest ones to the elephant. One rope broke free because they're tied only to shrubs. There are no trees, right? Yeah. So one breaks free. The second rope breaks free. Oh no! And by then we're all running away, and there's just one path out of there. So hundreds of people trying to run down this one path, and then the third rope breaks free of the shrubs. One rope left. I didn't know that it was going to hold, right? I mean, I'm already running away as fast as I could. And I hear this thump, thump, thump. I hear this big pounding right behind me. Like, I don't know how far behind me it is, but it's coming on me. And I'm running as fast as I can. I actually jumped over a couple local people that were shorter than me. Yeah, yeah. To get
Run
free.
For your life.
It's running for your life. You do whatever you can. And at some point, I felt like it was right behind me, such that I darted off to the side, right? Because he shouldn't be on the path. The elephant will take the path of least resistance, but also was pissed off at the humans. So it was going to trample everybody down the row, right? And I jumped off into sticker bushes. Every bush in Sri Lanka has stickers. And so I'm busting through the sticker bushes until I got trapped, and I was like, whoop. I was stuck. I was impaled by hundreds of stickers, and I was like this, at the mercy of the elephant. If it's right there, if it was like choosing to come my way, it had me. Yeah. So I look back, and the elephant, the 4th rope held. It held. So the elephant was like totally lucky. And I slowly backed away off the impaling, and looked down, and all my jungle clothing, all the khaki stuff, all had red spots. I was dotted red dots from all the blood that had from the stickers. Wow. Just little impalings, I mean, it didn't hurt that much, but I was, so I come out, and all the humans there, all the villagers are looking at me like I'm, polka dot man with my own blood. So and I was like pinned up against it, so yeah, it's scary. It's really, and at that moment, I mean, it was a life-changing moment, really.
I can imagine. You just watch the elephant, and then they just like this huge train is charging on you, and there's like nothing you can do. No, because he's very fast, he's very big, and if he wants to kill you, you're dead.
Totally. One of my best friends, rangers, about 6 years ago, was charged. He darted, and then ran away like he does. But the elephant this time did take charge. He charged after him. Big tusker, big tusk, right? Big male. And we have it on film, not the final part of it, but we have it on film. Of the elephant chasing after him, and all the rangers firing firecrackers, doing whatever they can, hollering, but the elephant wouldn't stop, right? And it went right after my dart. They call him the Dart Man. He's my favorite Dart Man. I've known him forever. Great guy. And the elephant comes at him to impale him with the tusks, and because he trips and falls backward, and the elephant comes down at him, and my buddy, the ranger, grabs his tusks like this and shifted him both sides of his rib. Yeah. So it busted his ribs right where it went on both sides, but didn't impale him. Wow. But it busted his ribs.
That must be a very traumatic event.
God.
He still love elephants?
I know. So it's nuts. Yeah.
But I can imagine like the wild animal is walking in the jungle and then get darted. I would get so pissed at whoever do it. I mean, my first reaction would be just to kill them all.
You got it. Yeah. Anymore, the elephants now are getting trained. When they spot a flashlight anymore, even the elephants will know it's a human and will charge almost immediately. Some of them, like some percentage of them. If you shine it used to be humans shine a flashlight on an elephant, it'll run away fast. Now the bull elephants know to take action immediately, preemptive action, and like charge after the light. So it's like, oh geez, my luck that 5% of elephants will charge a light, and it happens to be this elephant.
Evolution. Now they know.
It is evolution.
Maybe now you switch to ketamine, they'll be more likely to like just stand there and enjoy. They're like, let's go, down me up.
I know. Yeah, they would love that. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Burning Man.
Okay.
Burning Man. Yeah, this is so strange that the one person can go save elephants and the other end just keep on burning for 24 years.
This will be, I think, the 24th year this year coming up. Yeah.
And I guess when you started, Burning Man wasn't as it is now. Now Burning Man is like just a hippie thing everybody wants to go. Right. But 24 years ago, that was like a very niche thing. How did you find about it?
Yeah, there were like 15,000 people back then.
Oh, still
in the desert. Now there's 80,000. So it's grown a lot. It was already going on. Well, actually, in the playa out in the desert, it had only been going a couple 3 years before I jumped on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the big, it is kind of a funny story about that. I used to do summer Shakespeare in this little town of Crested Butte, Colorado, near Aspen, Colorado.
Okay,
people that know where that is. And every summer we put on this Shakespeare festival, right? And so a buddy of mine and I all became like the set builders. We designed these big sets outdoors, Well, and we had a big circus tent we put over it. But sometimes it would be just outdoors. 2 stories tall, like 30 meters wide with, big sets with like rotating stage parts where a drum set would come rotating out from the back of the set with a drummer on it, and then rotate back in for rock and roll Shakespeare. Everybody loves rock and roll Shakespeare, but for different Shakespeare. So we designed, we were the best at designing outdoor sets. I mean, who does that? Nobody does that, right?
Yeah.
Who has a special skill to build outdoor sets that can brave the weather, And so my buddy moved to Mount Shasta, Colorado, it's one of the vortex places, really incredibly mindful place, Mount Shasta. People know, they live in Ubud, they know Mount Shasta. He went there and a great artist asked him, hey man, I got this grant from Burning Man to do this featured art element. He knew my buddy Mario had built these kind of sets from when he was younger in Colorado. And so yeah, I can do that. I can build, your art that you want to design. We'll build it at Burning Man. So my buddy called me. I was still living in Colorado, I was living somewhere else. And he called and said, we got this $50,000 grant to build art at Burning Man. I said, what's Burning Man? Yeah. And he told me what it was, right? Yeah. I said, no, I can't do that. I have 2 little kids and I'm married. I can't go out and party in the desert like that. And, even if it's for art. So anyway, I skipped that year, right? And the next year he called me again. He said, we got another big grant. We're going to do featured art elements for Burning Man. It's awesome, And I said on the phone, I said, I am so there. I'm separated from my wife, and I have all the time in the world. Yeah. so I joined them. It's all a matter of timing, right? Perfect timing this time, my buddy. So we built big art on the playa, featured art, and the founder of Burning Man got to know us, and so we had her in with that. And so this is 25 years ago, that one, 26 years ago, even that first time, and so. From there, then the guys, after 3 or 4 years of doing this, building really cool art, based on the experience we had in building outdoor art, it's funny how things we learn when we were younger can just stay with us, because I never knew that I eventually would have my own big camp and do featured big art and be a favored one of Burning Man. And I own 4 circus tents now that I bring there, just like we were the ones that put up the big circus tent in Colorado for our big event. Now I own 4 of them, It's like, how did that happen? As foretelling or what is it, so now, so Burning, and then like we used to do other did art, and then I helped other people with their mobile art cars and things, and for a few years, and then I had my own little camps, and then I thought, I love elephant. Why not bring your passion? combine what I do in my real life with this make-believe world that's Burning Man, which is Burning Man is all about the kind of a culture that we want to see in the future, that we would prefer to live in, because the 10 principles of Burning Man are so beautiful, right? And so we go there for 2 weeks, and we dream that we're in this new world, where everything's gifting, and there's all, participation, no spectators, there's all about compassion and love and community. All the 10 people should look up 10 principles, because it's amazing, right? I mean, that's a utopian society. So but anyway, it's like I want to bring what I do in the default world, the real world that we think is this year that we live in, bring it to Burning Man, and to share my passion, and a lot of people bring their fetishes or something to Burning Man, whatever it might be. Their hobby.
I'm sure they do.
All kinds of stuff, right? And if I have a fetish, it's that I love elephants. So, platonically.
You need to be careful what you say.
Yeah.
You cannot say I love elephants and Burning Man
yeah. Everything
in
goes
one
to Burning
sentence.
Man.
Yeah.
Everything goes to Burning Man. So anyway, so my playa name is Big Bird. It's not anything to do with elephants. I was named Big Bird by an old legendary burner that said, "You don't have a playa name? I'll give you one right now. You're a Big Bird."
So everybody has a name.
Everybody has a name.
Okay.
Playa name. And I love it because people go by, it's like, they say, "Hey, Big Bird." They wouldn't say, "Hey, Philip." It's not fun. But they'll say, "Hey, Big Bird." It's like, so I hear my name yelled about, on the playa, out going wherever. It's like, it's so cool. It's like, it's a make believe thing. It's like, yeah, I'm Big Bird.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, "I love elephants too." Like we did this big marquee in the front, with big elephants and like huge thing that we have with these big beyond life size art, elephants on this big like a billboard. Then the elephants reach up with their trunks and they're holding a heart up in the air.
Okay, we'll show here the picture.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. and then from now we have light sticks into the air, I don't know, 8 meters tall, with light sticks. At nighttime you can see this, and the elephants are holding up this heart, and then like this rainbow of color off the top.
Yeah.
And I'll go on top. We call it the wildlife watchtower, because you can go on top there and see all of the playa from our scaffolding.
Oh, wow.
People will come by and they'll see me up there like, "I love elephants too. I love elephants too." And it's a great. It's just like, it's such a positive energy.
So what do you do for 2 weeks in a I Love Elephants camp? I haven't been to Burning Man.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
A lot of friends of mine actually go there, but I never been. So let's say you go to a camp for 2 weeks. What do you do there?
Okay. Yeah. So our camp, I have a lot of information boards. Like our camp's a whole acre, this huge area right on Esplanade, like prime location. And we worked our way up to it from further away. And the Burning Man loves us because we're not just a rave and happy hour camp. Like a lot of camps there are there'll be different workshops and things at Burning Man. There'll be all kinds of art where you can go and participate in making art or seeing other people's art in their camps or out in the playa. There's a lot of camps that have, it's alcohol based too much,
Oh, people drinking there too. I thought it's not.
Yeah, but our camp's different. Because we're kind of a bhakti camp, if you know bhakti. I kind of help produce the Bhakti Festival in America, one of the biggest yoga festivals in the country. And we've been helping produce the Shakti Festival, the Hanuman Festival, the Bhakti, the Beloved Festival, going back years. And this is how we kind of raise awareness about elephants and raise money, because we sell T-shirts and things to raise money for our programs. But in our camp, so it's kind of Bhakti camp. So I'll have whole kirtan band, in my camp. We'll have 2 sessions of yoga every day. We'll have mindfulness talks. This year we have the Ram Dass Foundation in our camp, which is really phenomenal. I've been trying to get them for a while. They were sidetracked because of COVID and then the other time conflicts. But this year I'm excited because Ram Dass Foundation, they shaped me when I read Be Here Now, the book way back when, that changed my life. So we're going to have them in my camp. So during workshops, and we'll have in one of our big tents, we'll have a psychedelic display of what Ram Dass himself saw when the first time he took acid. Like, what did he see? And there's a film about it that the Ram Dass Foundation created for the LA Wisdom, for this 3D thing, the big dome. They did a show there, and we'll have that show. So people can go in there and they'll lay on their back or they'll look at the film or whatever. Like, that's what Ram Dass saw the first time he did acid, and then had this new awareness, epiphany of like, we're all one and we're all like, be here now.
Yeah.
Right?
Amazing.
It's so cool. I mean, it's totally Burning Man, mindfulness,
So bringing like Ubud to Nevada, the Nevada desert.
Yeah. I think Ubud is. I think Ubud is being like a Bhakti festival.
Yeah.
And then I think of like Nuanu. It's nearby. It's kind of a Burning Man thing, right?
Okay.
And so Ubud is a Bhakti festival. Nuanu is one step beyond, which is like a Burning Man.
Yeah.
So because we're involved with that, we're right now we're planning for bringing a regional Burning Man called Ignite to Nuanu. Yeah, it's scheduled for the week after Bali Spirit Festival.
Okay.
So we're still on track to do that, So this year we're planning to keep it a little smaller, 500 people to 1,000. We were looking at doing 5,000 people. We decided the first year is a bit much. And so we're working on getting registration and certification from Burning Man to be an official regional Burning Man, which is the first in Indonesia.
Amazing.
So
for this 2 weeks of Burning Man in your camp, essentially you promote loving elephants and saving elephants, and then you serve people who are there.
Yes. Yeah. And so my interest in yoga from way back is also one of my pet areas. And so to be a co-producer of different festivals in America related to that, I've brought my friends from those communities into my Burning Man camp to make it a totally, we call a BAV, chill, environment. The ethos, the most compassionate people, I think, that are really aware of the plight of climate change and of species, the risk of species extinction and elephants are these mindful people that are in these yoga communities. So to me, it's like the easiest place to go to capture the hearts of these people, to bring them to help me save elephants. Yeah. So I don't go to rock and roll concerts or whatever and expect them to come and help save elephants. Because they're inebriated and not substances but on alcohol. It's the worst thing in the world. Yeah. But in the yoga community, it's easy to grab their hearts and pull them in and say, let's save elephants together. Yeah. So by bringing them to Burning Man, it was a natural. It was natural to bring them so they'll perform there. They're all inspired. My core people, like 20, 25 people, it takes us 25 people 5 days to build my camp. Wow. So in 2 weeks, the first week basically is building the camp to share it with the world.
So you come early or you come?
Yeah.
You come early and you're building a camp?
Yeah. We get early arrival ticket passes, so we can go in. It was just really fun to be there, to watch everything take shape. Yeah. It's mind-blowing. You can't even explain the intensity and the beauty of it all, and the love and the passion and all these things that people pour out at Burning Man. It's amazing.
And then 75 people in your camp, those are who live in a camp, and everybody else can come and enjoy it.
Yeah. So my core group will have like 25 early arrival passes, and then I have co-leads that come and they'll be appointed to do the scaffold build or the tent building, the kitchen building, the common shade structures we do where we put our tents under, because there'll be like 30 tents under this huge shade structure. So we divide up the tasks between us all, and most of the people that are co-leaders of the camp that are in charge of these areas. They say it's the most fulfilling thing they do in their life, because they can totally like feel the contribution to community, very immediate, and the skill sets that they kind of apply to be in these areas are fully expressed and appreciated by everybody.
There's something about the service that makes you very fulfilled. I don't know what it is, but once you learn it, like a deep service where you don't expect anything in return, that is like the most beautiful thing.
There you go, and that's a seva. That's seva. That's where of service to others. Seva is a big precept, I guess you say, of Burning Man, but of the bhakti Hindu belief, where you do a service to others, and also Buddhism. And I know I live that way. Like I honestly do. The gifting culture is so important at Burning Man. That's one of the 10 principles of the gifting and non-commodification. It's not about money. It's not about the wealth, the riches.
Yeah, so nobody exchanges money. Everybody is exchanging. Actually, you can just go and just do those amazing things absolutely for free, and you don't have to give anything in return.
I think there's been a book or something written. Somebody just showed up naked with nothing, and then they thrived there for a week.
Again, like 25 orgies in one day.
Maybe so. If
And
they
did yoga.
wanted that, if that was their desire, it could be found. I think
I'm sure.
You can go there with anything. It's amazing because I think of certain fetishes as being a hang-up that people might have. They haven't in our culture, the restrictions of our culture, the boundary conditions we have, that it restricts us to not fulfill these parts of ourselves. And so if you're so constricted to these things, it causes a lot of imbalance in our lives, whatever culture you're from. And so some people might be imbalanced because they can't express themselves sexually or whatever. They can go to Burning Man and express it.
Yeah.
But there's so many, and it's just released there, and then you can move on to the next thing. It's
You already had a 25 people orgy. Like now you can go and build some business.
if somebody here is listening to this wants that, I can put them to the right camp.
Be careful what you wish for. We'll have bunch of emails sending over.
But don't join our camp, please. We're a chill camp, and
Yes.
we have quite famous yoga teachers, masters in our camp. Like I said, Ram Dass will be. Ron Pichet, who was here recently, had interest in joining us.
He was on this podcast as well.
Is that right? Oh, that's right. Yeah. I've talked to him about it. I don't know if it'll pan out. It's really a tough condition to be out there.
But him and there will be amazing.
It would be.
Yeah.
The idea we have is Be Here Now is Ram Dass, right? Like he wrote the book Be Here Now, and people use that, like Be Here Now. And so we have a big marquee we're planning. We already have it planned. It'll be a big arrow, and it'll say be here now with an arrow pointing right there, right?
Yeah.
Like a big arrow, a neon arrow, like come into here, be here now, right? And then Ron Pichet, in conversation with him, I came up with this name for his camp, his tent, and we're going to have a big neon sign. It'll say, be everywhere, every time.
Yeah.
With this arrow. And I thought it's one arrow. And then a friend pointed out, no, don't have one arrow. Be everywhere, every time. Arrows pointing every direction, three-dimensional. Be everywhere, every time.
Very cool.
Because the idea that is that there's infinite everything inside of us, and not just be here now in this moment.
Yeah.
That infinite space, infinite time is what his belief in Buddhism is about. So you can sit in meditation if you're like, to him, be here now is so simplistic. It's like, but it's a good starting point for people.
Yes.
Right? Like, how do you get from be here now to infinite? It's like, wow, that's a leap. Please, Ram Pichet, show us how you do that. I want to know.
Yeah.
We'll have a workshop for you, your own tent, and you're going to demonstrate.
He's a fascinating man. So Burning Man changed a lot, I assume, from when you first started to now. And now, again, I just want to understand, because now a lot of people who come there, like it became, maybe I'm wrong, but what I get a sense for my friends who go, there's a lot of this Silicon Valley tech entrepreneurs and super rich hippies go there, fly there, and they're like seeing it some elitist thing. And it's actually not cheap to go to Burning Man at all either.
No.
So was it always like that, and how did that change over the years?
It's always been San Francisco. It was, and of course Silicon Valley is right there in that area. So it's kind of upper class type at the beginning. The people that are quite entitled, perhaps. But there was this organization called there's this organization, I can't think of it. There was a local group, like a circus troupe. That lived in San Francisco. They used to do antics, like they would tell all their members, like 100 of them, to dance, to dress up as Santa Clauses, and go and line up and be at every bus stop on a whole route. And so there would be Santa getting on every bus stop, right? And all the people on the bus freak out. It's like, what's going on here? It's August, And so I can't think of the name of them. But anyway, they combined with the origin of Burning Man, and then had they burned effigy on the beach, Baker Beach, and it kind of took off from there. So it was a very irreverent group of people that like are kind of oppositional to the common culture. So it started in that way, and I guess you could say they're disruptors.
For sure.
And So a lot of the Silicon Valley people, they're innovative people. They're always like, they have a lot of wealth, and they're probably doing mind expanding, medicine, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and experimenting with the next thing in our culture. And so it makes sense that they would show up there. And they get ideas from Burning Man. Like some of the best art anywhere in the world has originated at Burning Man.
Really? Wow.
The scale is amazing there. The palette of, the desert allows for expansive thinking. Like I think the best DJs, they go there. I mean, the best of everything goes there. It's just, it's a place. And so multimillionaires and now billionaires do show up there. I think I've had a few of them come into my camp. I don't know that they're there because they're like anybody else. They're dressed up in costumes, or they could be naked for all I know, and they won't have jewelry and stuff on. You don't know that they don't have a name tag that says who they are. So these, and that's how the world should be, right? Everybody shows up and this expresses themselves and however they want to express themselves. But it's not it was almost plug and play. It was going the direction of plug and play, where people just pay a lot of money to have a RV brought there, and then they don't have to do any of the dirty work, because that's a lot of Burning Man. It's supposed to be like, you participate, you create the event. There's no spectators, right?
Yeah.
So it's beautiful in that way. So they had a purge, and as an example, the founder of Cirque du Soleil, Guy Liberté. He was. I'm naming names I shouldn't, I guess, but his intentions are so good, and he's so creative, right? It's amazing, and he's tied into some of the people that are in my camp. When they brought a big dome to my camp, we had some mind-blowing projection art in my camp one year, and he does big pyramids and cool stuff that's now like showing up at Nuanu, actually. So, but he was kicked out. He can come back, but that's not in the same incarnation of camp, because it was too plug and play. Like he had the frog camp. Everything was like frogs. All the RVs had a vinyl wrap on them that were frogs, like huge, right? They're all you'd be tripping out. Going down highways, all these frogs coming down the way. It's a great idea. Yeah. But it was clamping, it was like plug and play. People were paying $20,000 to be in his camp or something, So he was, Burning Man doesn't care how rich you are. They kicked him out. Yeah. And so, and other people like his camp, not him, but the camp, the idea of his camp was wrong. Right. And so they say, come back, do it right next time.
That doesn't make sense. If you have to pay to be in a camp, then this is against the whole thing. And as the problem is that the people are very capitalistic, so they will always find a way how to make money on something that's supposed to be free expression and you're supposed to share. So like, let's share, but like pay me beforehand, and then you can express yourself.
I know, it's tough. I mean, you totally on it there, and like my camp couldn't exist without me, in the sense that I out of my own pocket, I paid for all our tents and our sound systems and our lighting and all that. And, it's become sustainable, like at the level we're at, but I have mostly hippies in my camp, they can afford paying, some amount for their food, because we offer 3 meals a day and other things. They can help contribute to the diesel for my 2 trucks that I have, diesel trucks to bring the stuff there. And we have 4 trailers and the 4 tents, all this stuff, right? If I actually put the real cost in there, it's like my friends can't make it, because most of my friends are hippies. So I do have others that aren't hippies, but most of the ones I have really actually connected with at the heart level from when I was younger, would be hippies, and I don't want to price them out, and they're the ones that work the hardest.
Exactly.
And so anyway, most camps have a benefactor, so I happen to be my benefactor, and so at the beginning, when I first established savingganesh.org, I had a little inheritance from my father, and it wasn't much, really, in the scale of things, but he was proud of saving this much money. It was a couple $100,000, split amongst siblings, or a few $100,000. So, but I didn't need it, I'm self-sustainable, like I've made money. I invented some technology when I was younger, in my 20s, environmental technology. I won some awards. I did well in my early career, so I can do whatever I want. Right. Yeah. And so, so I wanted to spend that money wisely, and do something of a legacy for my father, right?
Uh-huh.
And I have a stepfather also that I adored that died also like 10 years ago. And so basically that money I used for saving elephants and for creating the Burning Man camp and do all the things we've done. This is all the legacy of my father, where I just like put it in a separate account basically and just put it out there to help save elephants, and however it is, right?
Yeah.
And have a very creative way to save elephants. I mean, nobody does what I do, to have an elephant
Definitely
camp
not.
at Burning Man. And
But it's the best way to do it.
yeah,
Because everybody on social media just posting. Well, do something cool, inspire people. I think inspiration is very, very good. Make people inspired, and they'll do it. Because a lot of people talk, and a lot of people share things which are important, but nobody's looking at them. Because when people see like environmental issue, they like shine away. They start scrolling back. It's like, I don't want to see the problem. But if you're like, oh, let's go and enjoy it in a desert, they'll be, okay.
right.
Then their hearts are open.
Yeah,
I find.
You know, the idea, I follow some cognitive scientists. I'm really into it. I'm more of a scientist than anything. I'm a hippie scientist or something.
Yeah,
you know,
I like that.
friends, yeah. So my friends say, I'm not a hippie. You're a hippie, Philip. You're a hippie. I mean, all your philosophies, everything. You're a freaking
You're definitely
hippie.
a hippie. Yeah, I can say that.
Don't tell my kids that, because they're like, they used to be bad connotation when they were younger. It's like, no, hippies are good. Yeah. We save the earth. We save people.
People call me hippie too.
There you go. I know. Most of us here in the mood.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I know. Most of us are. We just don't have the really long hair and ponytails and shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's about, do you have enough? I have enough, and so, but most of the kids, there's a meaning crisis early on. Okay, the current culture and a few generations now are trying to find purpose in their life. Meaning, they have a meaning crisis. They don't know what their meaning is of living, and so I always wondered, like, people have transformation in my camp at Burning Man. People, I used to before COVID, I used to have a troupe, like 5 people that would come with me all summer and then put up our tents and sound systems at different festivals, and then participate in the yoga festivals. And so I have friends in those communities, really good friends, right? And so this group would be with me, and they all were transformed. It was a Carney group, it was a circus group. My group of friends, they were the best. And it's so much fun all summer doing that, right? And then bringing awareness about elephants and on the road, with our trucks and our trailers and our tents. And I discovered everywhere I go, it's like the people become transformed. They find meaning in their life, and they'll leap off of the platform that I feel I've created these spaces for them. Yeah. And I have several that have hooked up at my Burning Man camp, that gotten married, that conceived children. They've like gone a new path because of involvement with my organization that I've created.
Make complete sense.
It's so cool.
Sometimes you need to get out of your bubble, and sometimes it needs to be something that really, really shakes you up. So I assume when people see that there is love, there's compassion, people can exchange, like they don't need to exchange money. They can exchange emotions and feelings with other people. They're open. They're like, ooh, that's a whole new world. I don't like when they go to an office every day and everybody's like sad and everybody's about money and hustling, and now you're like, ooh, I can just enjoy myself and be myself.
Totally, yeah.
And then everything changes. That's what, for me, seeing people that are really open, even here in Bali, like, okay, there's more to life than just making money.
I know. I love that aspect. That's why I'm in Bali. That's why I'm in Ubud, not in Bali. I'm in Ubud. This place is the center.
Yeah, they go to Canggu. It's like, I don't know.
I know. A lot of people are taking over, like the Luna club in Nuanu and stuff, and the same energy that hyper alcohol fused energy is now encroaching there. Unfortunately, we want to try to grab it back.
I assume that you have a camp, right? But the thing is that around you, all this same people who kind of, they party, and their only goal, I mean, a lot of them probably just to go and have another big party. So they bring alcohol, they bring all the things there, and then they start to slowly, in their own way, poison what you have. Right. So how do you deal with that?
Oh, that's an awesome question. So because 1 week from now, I'm on a blogcast for Burning Man, actually. The topic is the evolution of a camp. Uh-huh. I'm one of 3 camps that I'd be invited to this. I'm really, I'm so grateful. I mean, I'm recognized, right? It's really cool. Yeah. So I'm going to explain to them the evolution of our camp and how we maintain it, how we maintain the energy, the enthusiasm, the passion. And so a lot of my response to that is that, we limit it to like 75 people, and we kind of vet them, see where they're at, it's not the quantity, it's the quality of the intentions of the people. Because if we have the right, if we, we had one or two people leaked into our camp a few years ago that had the wrong energy, they don't return, right? And, it was like unfortunate because they kind of snuck in and how they came in as a friend of a friend of a friend or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, and it's amazing how this one can poison the camp and then make others in our camp, women especially, like you close off, and the guys too then become upset because somebody else is like closed off. So it's important to maintain the safety. And so people come back to my camp because we're so chill, and exude this energy, this bhakti energy of love and compassion and openness. And so people feel safe. We have within our camp, we have little cuddle pods or whatever, and we have little spaces where you can, kind of be with your little subgroup or whatever, and for different discussions, just for comfort, or if you have a hangover or just a depression or a headache or whatever, there's places you can go, and so there's ways of like getting back into become whole to then present to the outer world, so we have 25 core people in our camp that build it, and then we have like another 50 to come in that are performers, DJs, yoga masters, kirtan musicians, whatever. And so they come in, they even contribute in different ways, but mostly because they're leading workshops and things. Yeah. So we give them a ride. They don't have to do physical labor, but they're doing something else. And they're presenting now. I mean, we have all 80,000 people walk in front of our camp during the week, probably several times. Right?
Can they come in or no?
They pass by and check it out. Some of them will come in and they'll see our information boards about elephants and learn really quirky things about elephants that little people don't know. Yeah. Whatever. They'll see our art, our elephant art that we have. We have Android Jones. If people know him, we've had his samskara in our camp. We have big original paint artwork by him in one of our tents. People like trip out on it. They come in and see that, and then they meander through our camp, and they feel this energy. Yeah. And energy is really, really positive energy. It's transformative energy. It's this energy where you just like, where you want people see my camp. They want to join. They want to know who the leader of the camp is, being me, and they want to meet me. Right? It's like, how can I join this camp? So, but anyway, all the education, the transformative experiences that are available through our camp. We have various doctors in our camp that talk about, all kinds of different subject matter. It's our presentation to the larger world. Yeah. So we're a hub of this of consciousness kind of there. They're presenting a diverse array of different, different aspects of transformation, of meaning. Yeah. And I'll do talks about elephants, and like I have different. I connect with elephants like an elephant whisperer, as an example. For sure. So I'll present how you can whisper to an elephant. I connect with them heart to heart. I'll do a talk about that. Uh-huh. And so there's so much available and people are like, oh wow, they'll leave there and like then I'll get these emails and texts and all these things from all these people I've met there, whatever, wanting to know more about this elephants, what we're doing, So that's kind of the essence. That's kind of why we do what we do. And my cup is totally full and spilling over because of this stuff, as you can probably
I
tell.
always think for like years that would be cool to do a podcast in Burning Man because people are so open, and then you can go really, really deep because I like to go to the deep topics. Now I'll be like just podcast every day, all day.
It's interesting. Yes and no, because
maybe not to record it. Just stop.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, not to necessarily record it, but you can in a certain way. Yeah, I mean, people do it. You have to go in with the right attitude. It's awesome. I mean, we've done films and different documentaries about Burning Man for our camp. Burning Man is not transactional at all. So if you go to somebody with an intention of achieving an end, then it's the wrong attitude. Yeah, it's funny that way. It's like a Buddhist thing or something. You go in with the intent to be here now, be everywhere, every time. I don't know which one, but if you have a ulterior motive, it's frowned upon. Yeah. If you have an objective, necessarily, it's frowned upon. Everybody, it's like a scientist. Like the best scientists say, "This is the best I've got." Likely, X equals MC squared, or whatever it is, right? Likely this. We there's no certainty. Yeah. And so at like Burning Man, we kind of go with open mind that there's no certainty in anything.
Makes sense. You go with the flow.
Totally.
For me, I do this for myself. in the first.
Yeah.
Like there's the transaction is me learning and the people sharing who they are. So as I say to people who are watching, if cameras doesn't work and we still have a conversation, I will be completely fulfilled. For my guests, I love to share their story, but for me, it's just all about me learning about things. So
beautiful. Yeah, I'm sure you go with the right attitude.
Yeah.
But I just want to imprint the idea of it's hard for people to know they can't do branding, they can't do public, any publicity around it. There's all these things that our culture is
I think that's really cool.
It's amazing. It is. It's one of a kind.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And I mean, my friends that have never done Burning Man can't wrap their head around that. How do you go there without like any intention at all, like just to be and not like promote something or talk about, whatever.
I think that's so freeing. Like I've been to a few, call it parties or some places where people just go and they just enjoy and there's nobody's nobody and nobody knows who you are.
Yeah.
And you don't even talk about what you do. Like I love when nobody asks me like, what's your work? What do you do? Because I'm like, cool. Because it's like what I do is not necessarily deeply inside who I am. I'm just, this is the way how I serve, but I can do it in different ways.
Yeah.
And I love seeing people in there just raw themselves. Like whatever you are, it's fine. Like how much do you make money? I don't give a shit.
Right.
Like, this is the least interest me. I'm not like getting your money. If you tell me you make $1 billion, it's not like it's gonna transform right to me and I'll make something from it. Let's just be people. Let's just see who exactly you are, and I think that's a beauty.
That'd be great. Going in, studying the 10 principles and living that when you're there, and practicing them. People are not accustomed to it, and so part of my challenge is to impress upon people how to do that, because that's the culturally transformative benefit of Burning Man. We're trying to get out there. Why we want to bring it here to Bali as an example is we have a lot to learn from the Balinese also.
100%.
To sharing. So the love that's here in Bali is amazing, and like they have their culture is so rich in art and just community, all these things that we want in our Bhakti community. We want that in the West. Like what Bali has is what we need that. So we can't. It's hard for us to know how to come with Burning Man here and give something to Bali that they don't already have. So
exactly.
It's
a Burning Man every day. You go to like ceremony, it's a Burning Man.
It's amazing.
They do it by themselves.
So that's part of the mind twist for me is like, okay, we bring a regional Burning Man here. Like, how do we not exploit them? Come here, and then we're going to bring people from all over the West to come here and like party on their sacred lands.
Yeah.
No. But so there's this sharing that we have to do with them. Is that they'll bring us this awareness they have in community and the arts and all, and we'll bring but we know technology. They need help with environmental things.
Yes.
For sure. There's trash everywhere. There's air pollution. All these things. That's my special area, right? I mean, I did that for 20 years early in my career, doing environmental restoration and technology. So. I brought that to the elephants. The awareness about technology is with the elephant warning system we're trying to work on. The wind torch, like scarecrow, it's all out of my past. So we want to bring that knowledge and expertise from the West here, and then we'll learn from them. And so there is a crossover that'll be benefiting both of us
for sure. Beautiful. I mean, man, we can talk forever. I really, really enjoy how, like, if there's a spokesperson for Burning Man, I'm very happy that's you, because you have a good heart and you have a good mission behind it. So I really, really appreciate what you're doing. And hopefully we can collaborate in many ways and save elephants and open some hearts. So thank you. Thank you for coming and sharing.
I've so enjoyed this. Totally. And I'd love for you to come to Burning Man, be on our camp and do a little study and record some kind of a story about it.
Beautiful.
It'd be really cool.
And share with people everything. How can they find you and support what you're doing? So cool. Tell people how they can do it.
All right. Yeah. So savingganesh.org, savingganesh.org on social media, the website, the same. That's the best way, really. Yeah. And to connect through for Burning Man, again, there's a link on that website that goes right to our events and festivals and activities. Our guided tours, the conservation tours, are also listed on that. There's a drop-down menu for the tours we have coming up. There's Sri Lanka, Kerala, Odisha, Nepal, which we might do Assam instead of Nepal here coming in the next couple months.
Amazing.
So it's
We'll
all,
put it on the show notes so people will find out. So guys, please check it out. Please like, subscribe. Otherwise, the elephants might charge on you. You know,
charge you.
You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Beautiful.
Bye bye.